Am I the asshole for kicking up a fuss about being illogical? So this came up today, but in essence it has applied to many previous instances that I had held in, kept my mouth shut about, but let it all out today. Had a family outing with immediate family. Then one family member suggests we go eat at a Five Guys afterwards. Everyone agreed on the choice, and because we were going back to hers afterwards anyways, she said to go to the one near her house. Kinda sounds like it makes sense, right? But because of where we were, we would literally go past a Five Guys on the way to her place anyway, so I said why don't we just go to the one that's on the way, since the one that's near her house literally is past her house by like 7 minutes, and then we have to go back to her house. Meaning it's a random extra 15-minute drive for 4 separate cars, for no reason whatsoever. She literally looked at me as if I was stupid and said, "'Cause it's the closest to my house, and we're going there after?" So the easiest way for me to describe the route is imagine you are on a train going east to west. Stop A, where we are now, stop B, my Five Guys, stop C, her house. She wants to go. Stop A, where we are now, stop B, past my Five Guys, stop C, past her house, stop D, her Five Guys, stop C, back to her house. I could not fathom how she couldn't understand something so simple. I even had to draw it out for her on my phone to explain, and she said, "Well, that one's still closer to my house, so it makes sense to go there." All I said was that she was illogical by doing that, and she then took it that I was calling her stupid, etc. Got into a back and forth. She asked me about any previous examples to back this up, and so I brought the fact that she puts her phone on her phone holder in the car, charges it while driving, and doesn't use sat-nav on long journeys. Because she already knows the way. And this is usually when we go visit the grandparents, 2-hour drive. Usually it's 4 families that go. Literally all of us use Waze or Google Maps on the way there. 7/10 no major delays, but there are 2 stretches of road that are common for delays. And the 3 of us that use sat-navs usually arrive within like 5–10 minutes of each other. She doesn't, she arrives usually 45 minutes late because she doesn't use the sat-nav to use to take the detour. And if we've had dinner plans etc., we literally have to wait for them to arrive first because the grandparents insist we eat together at the same time. Bearing in mind all of us have families, so it's all of us, plus our kids waiting for them to turn up. And yes, she fully knows how to use Waze and Maps. She uses them if she's going to a place she hasn't been before. So am I the asshole for calling her illogical? The actual hard facts are that she's purposely choosing, and making 3 other sets of families drive an extra 15 minutes for literally no reason whatsoever. It's a chain restaurant where 99% of the food tastes exactly the same in each store. Edit. Thought I'd add this cause I think some comments assumed we were going there for a takeout? And hence it's closer to her house and food wouldn't be as cold on the way home? No, it's a purely eat-in situation lol. Also, she does not have IBS, or any other, medical, situation that makes her need to be nearer her home etc. I don't know where assumptions like this are coming from lol. She stated outright that the sole reason is that it's closest to my home in proximity, and that's the reason why we should go there. She has had no other reason other than that. Not the asshole for trying to point out that there was a more convenient option, but I think the way you approach this sounds quite aggressive and patronizing. It's no wonder she got defensive. How far was your Five Guys from her house? Is it further than hers is from her house? Not the asshole, but some people are simply not very bright, and once you've figured that out about them, there's no sense in harping on it. So now you've wasted more than 15 minutes arguing and bringing up useless shit, all because you had to make a point. Is it so hard to just be civil? Not the asshole, but you gotta learn to pick your battles. This wasn't worth arguing or posting about at all. Am I the asshole for holding a 10-year grudge after I, F44, was insulted at a job interview? 10 years ago I, F44, was approached by a company to interview with their CEO for a position I did not apply for. I agreed to take the interview, which was all set up through the CEO's assistant. It was a Monday morning breakfast meeting at a hotel restaurant. When the day of the interview arrived, I showed up prepared, copy of CV in hand. I did arrive 30 minutes earlier than the meeting time because I didn't want to take the chance I might be late. So our meeting was at 8 a.m. When 8 a.m. arrived, he wasn't around, so I thought maybe he's stuck in traffic. At 8:15, there is no sign of him. At 8:30, there is still no sign of him, so I email their assistant, who answers immediately with, "Let me make sure they have the right restaurant." And then a few moments later they come back with, "Please stay, he is en route now." It wasn't until very close to 9 a.m. that the CEO arrives, makes a lame excuse about traffic and then asks the waiter for a menu, and a newspaper. I have a hunch he slept in and/or forgot, but also really surprised he feels there is time for a newspaper. He asks me some really basic questions while eating his breakfast. I think I'm answering them pretty well even though in my head I'm feeling like this interview is not being taken seriously whatsoever. It all ends around 9:20, he says he has a few more candidates but someone will reach out, and we go our separate ways. I'm not feeling good about it at all, but I still send a thank you email for opportunity. He responds back with, "Thanks. Best wishes." I did not hear anything further. It left me feeling somewhat dismissed but more so just really insulted. Fast forward to last year. One of my closest girlfriends, F42, says she met a nice older man, M56, through some mutual friends and they've had a few nice dates, but it's not serious. I ask about him and she says, "I think you know him, he was CEO of ABC Company." She remembers me telling her about that awkward interview, and I'm like, it turns out he is still in my industry, working in a senior, but not C-suite, role at a company connected to mine. I am not a fan of this person and my girlfriend knows this. She tries to smooth it over by telling me she mentioned me in the awkward interview, but he claims he does not remember it happening. My girlfriend insists with him that it happened and he insists back that it didn't sound like something he would have done. She comes back and tells me this, which you can imagine, did not help. She jokes, "I guess I won't be bringing him to your house anytime soon." That was a year ago and they are still together. As I now have a child, I don't go out often and as a result, haven't seen her much. When I do it is without him. I know I will have to meet him again at some point, and I will be polite, but I probably will still be feeling this way. Am I the asshole for hanging onto this grudge? Or am I supposed to be okay with the further insult of this guy claiming the awkward interview never happened? I wouldn't put this in a category of a grudge, more like you saw something about that person which has made you not want further contact. You're not wishing ill on him. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. He knew he was mean and he pretended it didn't happen. I guess you will just have to pretend it didn't happen but keep a socially acceptable distance from him. Not the asshole. Is it really a grudge when he showed you the kind of person he is and you know it's not a nice one? It happened 10 years ago, he probably doesn't remember. I would imagine over the course of time he's probably interviewed hundreds of people. Nah. You're still mad, which is fine. A bit weird as it was 10 years ago and an interview, but fine. He very likely does not remember it, which is also fine. That your friend mentioned it to him and you? I thought that a bit odd, but it does show that you obsess about this even more than you think if your friends know the story enough to recognize the guy. Am I the asshole for telling my husband he needs to get over his hatred for my mom? Update. Okay, so I just need some people to clarify because I think this perfectly describes my conflicting feelings about this whole situation this year. I posted this a while back but focusing on my feelings on what my husband did rather than focusing on what my mother did. And in each instance this one people are saying my mom is the asshole and his feelings are justified. But before people were saying my husband is the asshole and I need to leave him. Summary. Husband has anger issues and blames me for his failures in the past. Has told me to get out or he's calling the cops, etc. Mom randomly brought this up after my stepdad was a jerk to my husband about something entirely unrelated, money. So at this point, who is the ah? And what should I do about my relationship with my mom versus how my husband feels? I feel both of these. Edit. I also want to mention that he gets mad if I go see her more than once a month. And if he catches to me talking on the phone to her still he starts an argument. The other day I asked if I could take my therapy dog to her business because it's good for my dog too and she asked. He started a fight with me about how I'm still supporting her. My point is, but it's been a year. When can I act normal with her without feeling lean? You are gonna chew me out? My husband and mom got into a huge fight when we first got married. It was incredibly petty, but it ended up becoming a thing where my mom contacted his parents to complain about him. And she trashed his business publicly. My husband did not want her to come to our house after that. I was also a bit mad at my mom and my husband both because I feel like both of them could have stopped at any point but kept going. But I did want to stand on my husband's side because I felt as a wife I need to respect my husband. However, it has been almost a year and neither have apologized. I'm starting to feel very lonely and miss my mom. I don't know what to do because they both make such a big deal out of it, and when I try to talk to them about, yes, but I know you are mad. I know you don't like them. but is it worth having this estranged relationship forever, because it hurts me?" Both just shrug their shoulders and go. They started it and they never apologized. Mostly because I live with my husband, I told him he needs to start getting over it and let my mom come over to the house to visit. Not all the time, but just not make it seem like she's never allowed over. And he tried to start an argument with me saying I am being inconsiderate of his feelings and what she did. That I can see my mom when I want, but he doesn't want her back in his life and in our home. I understand his feelings, but my point is that I feel like after almost a whole year you are kind of making things difficult for no reason. I don't know, for me it's so much easier for me to silently hate someone but let my husband know about it, and if they happen to come over I'll just pretend to like them or leave. But he thinks this is me rolling over and letting people walk all over you, and he has a right to never see her again. You are the asshole. It doesn't matter who actually started the fight. She chose the nuclear option by tattling on him to mommy and daddy and publicly trashing his business. He's not preventing you from seeing her. He's preventing you from bringing her around him. He's choosing not to be as passive-aggressive as you when it comes to dealing with people he dislikes or hates, but he's not preventing you from having a relationship with your mom. You are the asshole. You can see your mom anytime at hers or on neutral ground, so no need to throw the lonely card in there. He is not going to back down and probably never will if she moaned to his parents and ruined his business, so get used to it. But it ended up becoming a thing where my mom contacted his parents to complain about him. And she trashed his business publicly. However, it has been almost a year and neither have apologized. The fact that you expect your husband to apologize to someone who publicly trashed his business, which is apparently a family business, is very telling. You never appreciated how egregious your mother's actions were. Expecting him to get over that, because it's been a year, is unrealistic. This and the other issues you highlight in your other message would be best addressed in therapy individual regarding your relationship with your mom, and couples to deal with your marriage. You are the asshole. You can go see your mom. Everyone sucks here. First, your husband for behaving like a petulant child. Second, your mom for running and tattling to his parents and bad-mouthing his business. They both sound incredibly immature. Finally, your husband does have the right to never see her again, or to have her in the house while he is home. You have the same right to be respected if he has someone you don't trust. Finally, you and your husband need some therapy. Why should it bother him if you go and see your mother? And why do you need to ask his permission to take your dog to her place of business? Good luck. Am I the asshole for expecting my husband to take care of our daughter in the evening so I can work? Husband and I have a 5-year-old and both work. I work full-time and he has reduced hours, so he picks her up from daycare and spends time with her until I get home. I drop her off. Last week our daughter had surgery and I was staying with her in the hospital and taking days off work. We were there for 6 days and it was rough. Our daughter is very energetic and it's exhausting keeping her occupied the whole day. I ended up spending a lot of hours during the day carrying her around to comfort her and get her to sleep, and then in the middle of the night when she would woke up from the pain. I was exhausted. Husband visited us every day and would stay for 3 hours so I could get some rest, but he would make a point how he'd been working and now has to spend his afternoon in the hospital. I was annoyed because he'd worked from home and it takes him 15 minutes to reach the hospital, so he had the whole evening to relax while I was stuck. Daughter was discharged on Monday and can't go to daycare for 2 weeks, and I had a presentation on Wednesday, so I was overwhelmed. I told my husband about the presentation and he got annoyed and told me I should take another week off to take care of her. I told him I will think about it. I have a lot of work and I don't want to miss so much. I decided to just take Tuesday off and work in the evening for the rest. I told my husband on Wednesday and he was pissed. He said that I was the asshole because I was dishonest with him about taking time off. He was counting on me and now he has care for her in the evening alone. I tried to explain that I only said I would think about the whole week and think I cared for our daughter in the hospital and am now taking care of her while trying to work evening. I only expect him to take care of her then, he isn't missing any work. We started fighting and I screamed that the only problem he has is he can't have a free evening and is being selfish. He smirked and said something like, "Well, the law grants me free time after work, so." And I lost it and told him that he is a parent now for 5 years and he should have realized by now he doesn't get time off when he is finished with his work because parenting is a 24/7 job and other rude things. Additional info. A year ago I started a new job. Husband supported me by staying home if our daughter was sick. About 3 months ago he started a new job and now is my turn. I believe I had kept my end of the deal since I took the days off to be in the hospital and am also taking care of her and work in the evenings, but he thinks I shouldn't be working at all. I disagree because he didn't have to miss any work. I also tried to explain I was hurt. He didn't even acknowledge everything I did and wouldn't help me by stepping up in the evening and is thinking only about himself. He rejected that and said I was just determined to make him an AH. I feel like the asshole for screaming, but I am also pissed at him for dismissing me and being so selfish. Not the asshole. You are 100% correct. Parenting is a 24/7 job and you don't get time off. Your husband needs to step up a little, and realize that even if you took the week off you are stressed and need some time off from caring for a small child, who is probably on great pain meds but still needs to be kept quiet and calm, a Herculean task. He needs to step up. And you need to book into a hotel for 24 hours for a staycation. Not the asshole. Your hubby has never once babysat, it's parenting. And you are absolutely right to be mad. He's being selfish and lazy. In top parenting is both parents responsible. You need to try to arrange one permanent day a fortnight when one of you gets to be completely free. You are tied together too much. Not the asshole. The child is both of yours. If you need to deal with work, it's his time to fill in the gap. Parenting is a 365, 24/7 gig.